It's time for ROTD Weekend.
Well, do I ever have a lot to tell you? First, I have a virus on my laptop, and so I'm recording differently today than I normally do. I think I figured it out, and I think it's okay. So this should sound normal, but if it sounds different, well, that is why. I guess this is your public service announcement. Do not click a link in an email from your spam folder, even if you think you know who it's from. I was wrong. And anyways, it has been a whole big problem, but we are figuring it out. And I have all kinds of temporary solutions. Amazing how resourceful we can be when we need to be, right? So I guess that's the first thing I had to say. The second thing is we are going live today. The virus is not stopping us. Nothing is going to stop us. So today, January 31st of 2026 at 2 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, or if you go to thecookful.com/C42live, you will get there that way also. And I will put that link in the show notes for this podcast episode too. So you could just click on that at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's New York time. And you'll be watching me and Marty. And what will you be watching us doing? This is the first time we've done this. We've planned a bit, but we haven't done the exact recipes together. These are things that I've made a bunch of times, things that some of which he's tasted, but he's not been there watching me cook them and asking questions. So that's what we're going to be doing. We are doing 5 recipes, and they are really a great example of part of the Cook for Two concept, where the meal planning and the recipes, everything is designed for small households. So in this case, I am a huge advocate of a 3-day meal plan. It is easy to come up with, not a lot of thinking, easy to shop for, and then you don't have tons of stuff in your fridge. And after the 3 days, it's so easy to assess what you've got left and probably get another day or two out of it without getting new things. But you can't know that ahead of time, right? If you shop for 3 days and you also get a bunch of your staples, you don't know exactly what you're having for lunch. You don't know exactly if you're going to eat out one day and push this out to 4 days. You don't know for sure what is going to be left. So this way you have this flexible extra day at the end. So that is what we're doing in our Cook for Two live today. We are doing a 3 recipe meal plan, and then with what's left over, we're doing a 4th day. And then there's a bonus extra day that requires that you get probably 1 or 2 extra ingredients. You know, when you run to the grocery store because you've run out of milk or bread or whatever, you pick up 1 or 2 other things and you get a whole other dinner out of that. So then it kind of stretches to 5 days. You eat out once, you have friends over, something like that. You've got your full week pretty much covered, but you start with a very simple 3-day meal plan. That is the idea here. So yeah, we're going to be cooking these recipes live. You're going to be watching us. You can ask questions in the comments or just say hi. And Marty is going to be paying attention to those comments and sending the questions my way. And I think it's going to be fun. I am nervous. I am definitely nervous. I've never gone live on the internet before in this kind of way, I don't think. So, yeah, I hope you come and support us and check it out and learn some things. The recipes are super tasty. They're all for small households. There's lots of veggies going on. Oh, and I am making that ultimate delicious garlicky tossed salad that I tell you about all the time. The recipe is not on my website, but I'm going to be covering it in this live demo that we're doing. So if you've heard me talk about that salad with the grated garlic, that's going to be part of the show today. Now, as for the conversation that I'm sharing with you today, I am playing a conversation from about a year ago, and I'm just going to tell you that the reason I'm sharing this today is because it's very special to me and very relevant to what's happening today. So in this conversation, I am speaking to Sharla Kostelyk, who is from Freezer Meals 101. And it was through conversations with Sharla that I realized that I really wanted to start doing these YouTube lives and that I wanted to delve into a community for cooking for small households. Sharla is all about freezer meals, and she and I were talking about a lot of different things. Not in this conversation, I don't think, but just like separately. We met at a conference and then we continued our conversation. And she was telling me about how many of the people who are part of her freezer meal community are cooking for one or two. And at the same time, I'd been doing research with you guys, sending out newsletters and questions about what you all were looking for. And so many of the responses were recipes for two, cooking for small households. It was actually really overwhelming how many of them were there. And it was all then that I realized how much I knew about this from, cooking for me and Marty, but also because we do this back and forth thing all the time where sometimes it's two people and sometimes my kids are here and it's four. These days also Olivia here. So there are five and then there's two and then there's one and then there's three. And the shifting really shows me how different it is to be cooking for less people than it is for my more usual more people. And that is where this all kind of started. So today I am sharing with you that conversation with Sharla that was the very beginning of this journey for me. Getting to know her was the beginning of the journey. And she is on today. Again, here I'm replaying this, talking about freezer meals. And I think you're going to learn something great. So let's listen to my conversation with Sharla. Hey, Sharla, welcome to the show.
Hey, Christine, great to be here.
I'm so excited to talk with you. So we met in Denver a little over a year ago, maybe a year ago, and you were so passionate about freezer meals. Like I have not stopped thinking about it. Can you tell us how you started cooking in this way and what it even means to you, but how you started? Yeah.
So how I started is I was a busy mom, as all moms are. And as our family grew, I found that I was really good at the mom part of things, but really terrible at the house part of things. And I could not keep up. The chaos was bad. It was I just I didn't know how other moms were able to manage it all, like how they could do it. I thought there was like some secret that I was missing, but it just felt like, the mountains of laundry and I couldn't keep these kids fed. And as they're growing and eating more and, I just could not figure out how I could possibly keep kids fed. I found it really stressful, especially like now I refer to it as the 4 p.m. dinner dread. When you get to that point of your day where you're like, oh no, I forgot to think about what to make for dinner. Mm-hmm. And that was it made me feel like a failure as a mom, which was not a great feeling. And so I went about trying to figure out how to stop that. So I tried meal planning, just, fresh meal planning. And I found that now I say that my good intentions would go moldy in the crispers in the fridge. Because, I was planning to make that Greek salad or whatever it was. And that cucumber would eventually just disintegrate in its wrapper as I forgot about it because life happened. So when I discovered freezer cooking, it was like, for me, the light bulb went off and I was like, this is something I can actually do. Because when I buy the vegetables, they are going immediately into the meals and then into the freezer. So nothing's going moldy in my crisper. I'm not ending up feeling guilty about that. And I'm actually able to get rid of like the mental load of figuring out what to make every day. That was what was harder for me than cooking because I enjoyed cooking. It just was like the figuring it all out and planning that I had a hard time with. So that was what freezer meals did for me, is take the stress out of cooking and take the stress out of like, what are we going to have for dinner today? So I am passionate about it because it did so much for me. It also made it so that we had so much more money. Like I was spending the same amount on groceries for our family of 9 than other families with a family of 4. Wow. Just because you're able to like shop the sales, buy in bulk, not have to get takeout or delivery or convenience foods, anything like that. And you're able to eat so much better but not be spending the money. So that was helpful too. And that lowered my stress.
For
So
sure.
anyway, I'm just like all passionate about freezer meals and then I do have to say though, that at the time, I was mostly doing like your traditional freezer meals. So soups and stews and casseroles, because I thought that that's all you could do.
Mhm.
So it was like an evolution. It took me a lot of years of freezer meals before I was able to start really experimenting and branching out and like testing the limits of what's possible with freezer cooking, which now I do and love. And my family has to be the guinea pigs for that, though. So they do love the good ones, but there are a few
Oh,
flops along the way.
I mean that is my entire existence. The number of for the recipes to end up on my website and for recipes to end up in your business, there is somebody who is eating less good food all the time. It's so true. So okay, so yes, you're testing these on your family. They're going on to into your membership, the Freezer Meals 101, right? What is something? Wait, did I say that right? Freezer Meals
Yeah, Freezer
101.
Meals 101 Club is the membership, and freezermeals101.com is the website for the free recipes. And
So, what is something that you have found over the years that makes for a great freezer meal that would have surprised you back when you were in your soup and stew days?
well, I have been able to really test the limits as far as what's possible. And so I have tried pretty much anything. There are some things that don't freeze. So I know what those are, and that goes into my process a lot. But there's a lot of ethnic foods that I experiment with. There's a lot of, like I'll go to a restaurant and try something there, and then my wheels will start spinning in my brain, all the gears will start growing, and I'm like, how could I conceptualize this into a freezer meal?
Hmm.
So pretty much not everything is possible. I will admit that. We did have a cod puttanesca last week that was a massive fail. So
Cod puttanesca.
not everything will work as a freezer meal. However, just the fact that we're able to eat kind of elevated foodie food as freezer meals has been surprising, and I'm determined to continue to push the envelope. So
I love that. Oh God, I'm not sure if my family would eat that if it wasn't a freezer meal. So,
it was a fail. It was like an epic fail, but that was a meal that we made in our most recent. My neighbor and I get together once every 3 months, and we make 3 months worth of dinners for both of our families.
wow.
So we call those mega sessions. And in our most recent mega session, we made 103 meals, and which is not nowhere near our record. Our record is 156 meals.
Wait. Sorry, Charlotte. In one day, the two of you make 102
2 days.
days.
Over the course of 2 back-to-back days, we assemble because we do our prep ahead of time, and then we assemble 100 and whatever meals. It's always over 100. But yeah, 150 is sort of what we were doing before.
Wait. No, I'm not letting you go. Okay. So you do the prep before the 2 days.
Yeah.
Prep as in chopping or also like cooking things? Like
So
what does prep
prep
mean?
Yeah, prep as in chopping the vegetables. We like to use a lot of vegetables if we can, just, keep things healthy. But also, we prefer the texture of like ground meats to be browned already.
Mm.
Some people put them into their freezer meals raw. We don't. We do put, chicken and seafood and things like that into the meals raw. But if we're using any kind of ground meat, like ground turkey, ground chicken, ground beef, we prefer the texture of cooking it ahead. And so when we're doing or ground sausage, when we're doing it for like big batch cooking like this,
Mhm.
then we have ways of making that go faster. So our prep isn't it doesn't take us a whole day or anything, just but it does take hours. And then you're using these again, you can shop in bulk because you're using these massive quantities.
Wait, okay,
And
wait. So I was not thinking about your freezer meals in the way that I should have been. So everything is not already cooked. You're not cooking meals and then freezing the cooked food. You're doing something else. Explain to me what you're doing.
So a lot of our recipes use raw ingredients. So then on the day you cook it, it's like you're cooking things up fresh. So you're still going to get the taste that you're cooking things up fresh. And the exception being, like I said, with the ground meats, we prefer the texture of it cooked ahead. But sometimes also the exception being if we are making meals for 1 or 2 people, then sometimes we'll cook the chicken or cook like some of the elements, even the rice or the pasta in those kinds of meals, so that we can then make it so that it's just a quick reheat. So people almost have like a homemade TV dinner if we're doing the cooking for 1 or 2. If we're cooking for our families, then, like I said before, it's just mostly raw ingredients, and then you're just cooking it up fresh the day of.
And so when you're cooking it fresh the day of, are you like pan frying where is it going? It's all mixed together. It's all mixed together in a bag. I'm picturing this now. It's all mixed together in a bag. And I've seen your stacks of bags. I've seen the stacks of bags. I thought that those were all fully cooked things. So now I need to back up. The
stacks are a work of art. They are beautiful, are they not?
Yeah. What you guys have a really good catchphrase. What is it?
Getting your freezer stacked so you can relax.
I love it. Okay. So I thought those were all fully cooked meals that you're just like microwaving, and I was completely wrong.
No. So we have some slow cooker or Instant Pot. We have some that are for the oven or the skillet or the barbecue. We have some that can be either oven or air fryer. So we like to use a variety of cooking methods because then you can choose a meal for that day based on like what you've got going. So if you've got appointments and you're going to be out most of the day or you're going to be at work most of the day, you can throw something in the slow cooker. Or you can take something out that's going to go in your skillet and take like 7 minutes to cook up at the end of the day, versus if you're going to take something out that's going to need an hour in the oven, then you're going to choose that for a different kind of day. So yeah, we just like to have a variety, not just of flavors and proteins and that kind of thing, but also a variety of cooking methods because everybody's lives are busy and complicated and it just works best to have choices.
So then in the bag is going to be like vegetables that you've chopped up and meat that's either been chopped or prepped or seasoned in some way to go with whatever that meal is. And then you're just taking that and transferring it to the grill or transferring it to a sheet pan. So you still are cooking, but you're not doing all the chopping, seasoning, prepping, cutting the meat, all of that. What about, I'm assuming like carbohydrate type stuff, rice would either like when you're doing the meals for 1 or 2, maybe you've cooked the rice and put it in there. But for like a family day, are you cooking the rice or the pasta fresh? It's not in the bag. Uncooked rice is not in the bag.
Not usually, but sometimes we will put, I know, I'm going to blow your mind here. Sometimes we'll put uncooked rice, like measured out in the amount that you need, in a smaller bag and staple that bag to the larger bag so that you have everything that you need all ready to go on the day that you cook it.
Oh, smart.
I also like to do that, like if you've got a soup, let's say, that's going to have a pasta go into it, then like just a small shell pasta or a macaroni or something like that, then I like to measure it out and put it in a bag and staple it there so that like everything's all measured out. We also have labels with the cooking instructions on them for all of our freezer meals. And so then it'll say on the label, like exactly what you need to do to make it. So then it'll say like at what point to put the rice in or to put the pasta in. Now for pasta, you can pre-cook your pasta and put it into your freezer meal, like into a casserole or whatever. However, if you're going to do that, you want to undercook the pasta because otherwise it ends up mushy. And like we are not okay with mushy pasta. We want to have good textures. So a lot of the times for our freezer meals, unless we're doing it for 1 or 2, like I said earlier, what we do is we just do the sauce for the pasta and then we'll cook the pasta up fresh on the day of just to get better texture.
So on some level, this concept is a little bit like the meal kits, like HelloFresh kind of thing that are way too expensive. They send you chopped ingredients and then you cook it, but you've taken it maybe a little step further and it's in your freezer and way less expensive. sort of like that?
A fraction of the cost. And also, one of the things that I've found, because our family has tried those meal kits, and yes, we found they were really expensive. We also found that you can't really adapt it very well, like for your tastes or even for your family size.
Mhm.
But the other thing that we found is that it's like it uses every single pot in your kitchen. Like, it just is like, "Oh, and toast these, nuts over here in this pan, and then
Mhm.
on this and take out 5 cutting boards," and, it's just by the end, you've made 1 meal, and you have a sink full of dishes that you have to do, whereas with the freezer cooking, you're using your cutting board once
Mhm.
for, a month's worth of meals. So
Right.
you're washing your cutting board 1 time and for 30 days.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, for as far as the pots go, because I'm a busy mom, I love sheet pan meals or one pot meals or skillet meals. Like,
Mhm.
I like it if it uses one pot. Like,
Yeah,
the
no,
less
no, I hear
dishes,
you.
the better. And so that's the other thing that I found about those meal kits is that we're doing dishes forever and then we're just eating once for all of that work. So this
Yeah.
is you're doing dishes over those 2 days, and hardly, because when we first started doing this, we would mix everything together in bowls and then transfer it into our freezer bags. But now for 98% of our meals, we put the ingredients directly into the freezer bag and we just squish it in the bag to combine it. So we're not even having to wash any bowls or spoons or
Mhm. Mhm.
anything like that. We're just trying to minimize our minimize our work and make our lives easier.
I love that. So, okay, a lot of this stuff, can people see you doing this? Like, is this like your mega days? Are they available for?
Yes. You can find us on YouTube, Freezer Meals 101, and we have videos of all of our mega sessions. So those big 2-day events are they we can get them down into about a 2-hour video. So,
Wow.
sit back with your popcorn to watch that. Um,
Is there a
but
blooper reel?
we do have blooper reels, honestly. And for our other when we're just showing you how to make ahead appetizers for the holidays or make ahead side dishes or those kind of things. Those videos are not 2 hours long, but we have it all. You can check that out on YouTube.
I love it. And I will put the link to that in and to the membership and the website with the recipes in the show notes for everybody. I want to know if you've brought a recipe to tell me about, and is it a freezer meal?
I have brought a recipe, and yes, it is a freezer meal, which is
Yay!
no surprise. And I chose it because not only is it a freezer meal, but it is a sheet pan meal, which I'm kind of obsessed with the last few years because everything is ready all at the same time, which I love. And then also less dishes, which we've already established I love.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it is our Mediterranean chicken sheet pan.
Lovely. Oh, that sounds great. Okay, and you're gonna tell us how to prep it for the freezer, and then when we take it out of the freezer, what to do with it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, yes. Where do you start with this one?
Okay, so into a large freezer bag, you're going to add 10 chicken thighs, boneless, skinless. Then you're going to add a purple onion that's just cut into large chunks, some sun-dried tomato and oregano salad dressing, so half a cup of that. Some minced garlic. We like to use our garlic from a jar because it's already minced for you and just saves some dishes and a
Mhm.
step. So just 2 cloves-ish of minced garlic, 2 teaspoons of Greek seasoning, a teaspoon of dried mint, or you can do a couple teaspoons of fresh mint, some lemon juice. So you're going to do 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of capers,
Mm.
a quarter cup of pitted Kalamata olives, and then you're going to squish that together in your freezer bag. Then you're going to get as much air as you possibly can out of your freezer bag because when you're freezer cooking, air causes freezer burn. So that is the trick to keeping your meals really, really fresh. And then you're going to seal your bag and you're going to lay it flat and freeze it.
Do you use any kind of tool for getting the air out, or do you submerge your bags in water? Any of those things?
No,
Suck
I
the
do
air out with a
not.
straw. I've heard of people doing
I
that.
don't. I have a pretty good system, but you just, you get better and better with it. You can use vacuum sealer. You can stick a straw down there. You can do the water submersion trick.
Mhm.
But honestly, it's pretty easy to get a lot of air out. I mean, I've got a system where I just sort of seal it almost all the way closed and then squish all the air over into that corner and then, finish sealing it.
Mhm.
And it works pretty well.
Okay, I believe you.
Okay, so now you've got your meal in your freezer. It's sitting on your beautiful stack. And then on the day you go to pull this one out, you're going to let it thaw. And then you are going to I like to put parchment paper down on my baking sheet just to make it easier to clean, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You are just going to take that bag and you're going to dump the contents of the whole bag down on your baking sheet. Then you're going to add a cup of baby tomatoes. So fresh. Those don't stay the same in the freezer. So we didn't add them to the freezer portion of things. And then you're going to bake it at 400 for 25 minutes.
Mm.
Then you're going to sprinkle it with a quarter cup of crumbled feta cheese.
Oh.
And I know it gets so good, right?
Yeah, it sounds
And you're going
amazing.
to broil it for 2 or 3 minutes just to crisp up that feta and just all the goodness. This one is so delicious. And you can do this one in the air fryer if you prefer. And once that feta is all crisped up, you're ready to serve it. You can sprinkle some fresh mint if you want on top of it.
Mhm.
And you can do this with couscous or rice or Greek lemon potatoes.
Oh, that sounds amazing and super easy. Yeah. You've done most of the chopping. You have to get a couple of ingredients. So okay, I'm sure this is actually part of your membership and your recipe instructions, but when you're freezing this, do you write on it what you need to also get from the grocery store on cook day, or is that in some spreadsheet somewhere? Where is the information for that?
So in our Freezer Meals 101 Club membership, we have printable labels for all of our recipes. So when you print your label off, it has the date because you want to know when it went in there because they last 3 to 6 months in the freezer. So then you know.
Mhm.
Eat the oldest ones first, right? And it also has all your cooking instructions on there. So when you print it, you can choose whether you want the air fryer instructions or the oven instructions.
Mhm.
And then it's going to tell you to add those tomatoes and the crumbled feta and how long to cook it for and all the things. The great thing about the labels is that you don't have to be the one to cook these. If you've
Right.
got older kids, if you've got a partner, if you've got a friend, whatever, anyone can throw these into the oven or into the slow cooker, anything, because the instructions are right there on the bag. So if I'm going to be out, I can call home and tell one of my kids, go ahead and make dinner. And it's super, super easy for them. The other nice thing about the labels is these are great for gifting to other people. So if you've got someone who's going through a hard time or who's just had a baby or under any or they're moving, whatever it is. I've got a friend that recently they had a flood at their house, so they had to gut their kitchen and all she had to cook with was a slow cooker. So I'm like, here you go. Here's some slow cooker meals and, it's easy enough. Or if you've got someone who just had surgery, it's just such a nice gift.
Mhm.
But then they've got the instructions right there. So anybody can cook them.
I love that so much. Sharla, can you remind people where they should go if they want more of your freezer meal brilliance? Where's the best place?
So you can find our recipes at freezermeals101.com. You can find us on YouTube at Freezer Meals 101. And our membership is the Freezer Meals 101 Club. And in our membership, we take the guesswork out for you because you can create custom meal plans with over 400 of our recipes. And then it prints off your shopping list, your prep list, and those printable labels with the cooking instructions.
Oh, brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much, Sharla.
Thank you.
and freezer meals. Super exciting. If you haven't tried one of these before, you have got to try it. And, I will say that we're not doing any freezer meals in the live cooking demo today, but it is one of the strategies that I use to make things easy, especially if I'm making a recipe that's usually for 4 or 6 people and there's just 2 of us here. I will prep the ingredients for the 4 and freeze half of it, and then it's there ready for another day when I don't feel as much like cooking. I'm not a huge freezer person. I don't tend to like having like cooked leftovers in the freezer. There are exceptions to that, but it's not my favorite thing. But I do use this strategy sometimes. So definitely give that a try. Check out Freezer Meals 101. Sharla is amazing, as you heard. And yeah, I'm going to say again, come and tune into our YouTube live today, January 31st at 2 p.m. Eastern. And you can get to that at my YouTube channel, which is Cook the Story 1059. Oddly enough, that is the YouTube channel, or go to thecookful.com/C42 live. And that is going to take you there. And that's the letter C and then the number 4, the number 2, and then the word live, thecookful.com/C42 live. And yeah, that's going to take you to our demo. Okay. I'm getting more nervous talking about it. So I will turn and talk about what is going on this week in my kitchen. I will be honest with you and tell you that we had a bit of a glitch. Well, not just the virus on my computer, but there have been glitches, and I didn't end up cooking all the things that I said I was going to be cooking. And now I can't remember what I said and didn't say. So if I'm telling you that I'm making something that I already told you that I made, that's because I thought I was making it and then didn't end up doing it. And now I'm doing it. I hope that makes sense. So, one of the things that I am doing this week is a classic potato soup. That is a recipe that's going to be going on cookthestory.com at some point. This is not loaded potato soup. This recipe comes from before loaded baked potatoes were even a thing, or at least before they were called that. Like way back a long time ago, like when I was a kid, if we went to a steakhouse and had a baked potato, it would come with like sour cream and butter. I don't think it came with like cheese and bacon and green onions. Maybe there was chives on there, but it definitely, no matter what was on that baked potato, it was not called a loaded baked potato. And so loaded baked potatoes weren't a thing back then. And something like a loaded baked potato soup, that didn't exist for sure. And so way back then, when my baba or my mom would make potato soup, it didn't have all those toppings on it. It didn't use like leftover baked potatoes, nothing like that. It was the simplest but most delicious thing. You boil some cubed potatoes while those are simmering in just enough water to cover them, because that's going to become the base of the soup. While those are cooking, you fry up some bacon, take the bacon out of the skillet, chop it up, to the bacon fat in the skillet. You add flour, whisk that into a roux, and then scrape that bacon fat roux into the pot of the cooked potatoes once they're tender with the water that they cooked in, and you stir that and you just simmer it for a little while, add some salt and pepper, and that is it. I just told you literally how to make it, but I'm actually doing the final test with actual amounts, not just the winging it way that I've been making this my whole life. So I'll be writing all that down and taking the pictures and everything. So I am doing that this week. I am really excited because it is so comforting and delicious and goes way back in my family. So I'm doing that this week. I am also doing a white chicken chili. And this is one, Marty and my friend Sabine was here a couple of weeks ago. She is hiking the, I can't remember what the trail is called. It's like Cross Florida Trail or something. It's a big, long trail that she is hiking, and we are kind of on the route. So she came and stayed with us for a night, and Sabine is a vegetarian, and I wanted to make something like really hearty and comforting because she's walking so much, like more than 10 miles a day, I think. So I made this white chili soup thing that is not white chicken chili because it didn't have chicken in it. But Marty and I had some leftover chicken from like the day before that we shredded up and added to ours. So I guess it kind of was white chicken chili. But anyways, the point of all this is I used a can of white beans, the cannellini beans, and I added those to some broth and pureed it in the blender as like the basis for the soup. And it was so delicious and just comforting, thick, hearty, wonderful that I decided to make that the base for my actual white chicken chili recipe. And I've made it for dinner. Like I said, I made it when Sabine was here, and I've made it another time since then, and it's delicious. And so I'm doing a final version of that this week as well. So those are the recipes that I am working on here. And I can tell you what is new on the websites too. So this past week, we had one of Marty's all-time favorites, the kotelety, go live on the site. This is a recipe that my kids love, I love, and Marty, of course, loves. He and I kind of developed the recipe together. He got it from his mom, and then we tweaked it a little bit to make it work in my kitchen with the ingredients that we have. And now we have this wonderful, they're like almost mini meatloaves. They're Polish, really delicious. That is live on Cook the Story. And also live on Cook the Story is the simple 5-ingredient mac and cheese recipe. Just 5 ingredients and just really easy. It tastes like classic macaroni and cheese. Nothing special or different about it. It's just way easier to make than a normal mac and cheese. You're going to love that one. That one is on thecookful.com. Okay, well, I am going to sign off here. It is a big day for us. I hope you join us again. The link to the live cooking demo will be in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to thecookful.com/C42 live, or you can go to my YouTube channel, Cook the Story on YouTube, and you will see our live event happening there. It's going to be a couple of hours long for sure. We're doing 5 recipes. I'll be giving you a link to the actual meal plan, grocery list, and recipes so that you can see a sample of what we have at Cook for Two behind the membership, and you'll see how we do this, and then you'll be seeing me cooking these recipes live, which is, I think, going to be fun. And well, it'll be an experience for all of us for sure, right? And you get to meet Marty, get to know him a little bit too, and ask your questions in the comments. So please come and join us today. That is January 31st at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I want to say a big thank you to Sharla for being an amazing guest and for putting this whole idea in my head in the first place. It really was the starting point, first meeting her at the conference back in Denver and then thinking about it. And it eventually came to cookfor2.us, which I am so excited about. It is growing and I love that so many of you are a part of it already. Yeah. So Sharla was the inspiration for that. And today we're finally going live and it's just all coming full circle. I'm really excited. I hope you're going to be there. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, cookfor2.us, and this podcast recipe of the day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.